Shabbat Shalom.
Let's do page 129.
129, Ki Eshmera Shabbat.
כי ישמר השבת אל ישמרני, כי ישמר השבת אל ישמרני, תהי אותי לעולמי עד בינו וביני, אותי לעולמי עד בינו וביני, כי ישמר השבת אל ישמרני, כי ישמר השבת אל ישמרני, תהי אותי לעולמי עד בינו וביני, אותי לעולמי עד בינו וביני.
Page 131.
שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בשרו ביום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו בכל העמים נפלאותיו, מי הייתי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים, איי 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 ניי 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 זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה, בחצוצרות וכל שופר. הרים לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה. נהרות עמך וכף יחד, הרים ירננו, לפני אדוני קיווה, לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל וצדק, ועמים במי שערים. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה. נהרות עמך וכף יחד, הרים ירננו.
When one enters Camp Harlem, the Reform camp in the Poconos, they don't say, "Welcome back." What do they say? Where's my fellow camper? What do they say? Welcome. You're a fellow camper too. Well, we have a real life fellow camper here, and as she knows, they say, "Welcome home." Harlem is a home away from home. And so after several years' absence, I returned home to Harlem this month for a 2-week stint as faculty. A number of clergy and educators go up there to torture the children there. We try to give them a little bit of Yiddishkeit, a little bit of Jewish learning while they are up there. And it felt like home, not only because I have served on faculty before, but close to 24 of our congregation's children attend Camp Harlem. Right there is one of them. And I believe Sue has a grandchild who was there this summer. And we even have several of our college students and recent college graduates work on the staff at Harlem. So wherever I turned, I saw a familiar face. And nothing is quite as special as seeing several hundred campers all dressed in white. And so we wore our whites tonight, making their way to what is called Chapel on the Hill for Erev Shabbat services. I returned home with 2 takeaways. If the Reform Movement's camps, and there are well over a dozen of them around the country, are any indication, the future of Reform Judaism is in good hands. And it seems you can go home again. So with that, we continue welcoming Shabbat with Lecha Dodi, beginning on page 138. We will join together for verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and at the final verse, we'll rise and face the door.
Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. 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 שמעו וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושמו לתפארת לתהילה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Lecha
remain standing and join together for the Baruch Hu on page 146. We continue together in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteh she'arim, ובתבונה בין שני עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמורותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, והם נהגי יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Please join me on the top of page 157, and we are in the blue numbers in the brackets. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
I was jealous because you got to see Nefesh Mountain here a few months ago. So let's do a Nefesh Mountain. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף ולב, נורא תהילות אוסף ולב. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף ולב, נורא תהילות אוסף ולב. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, ובעלו יד חזק ממנו, יד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Life is fragile. We remind ourselves of that each night before we go to bed. Hashkivenu acknowledges that fragility, and in this prayer we pray for protection. We pray that we may indeed lie down in peace and awaken to life once again.
It's amen. You got an amen.
I got an amen.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדודם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדודם ברית עולם. בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדודם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדודם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדודם ברית עולם.
We continue with that part of the service when we are both in community and on our own, with the Amidah beginning on page 164. So please rise.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל. אדוני, מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל, אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממיד ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמנת לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue silently, either with the words on the page or the words in your heart. And when your prayers are finished, please feel free to be seated.
Nine, 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 yeah, nine, 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 yeah, nine, 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 yeah, nine, 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 עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו amen. Everybody to the choir. Everybody should join the choir. Great.
Even as we revel in the joy of Shabbat, we keep close to our hearts and minds those who are in need of healing. If you are joining us online and would like to share a name of those for whom you are praying, I invite you to do so. And if you're here in the chapel, I invite you to share the names out loud, if you'd like, of those for whom you are praying.
Michelle Rubin.
To those names and to those names we hold in our hearts, we add Gabby Kraft Buckman, Ari Brofman, Ross Kagan, Harold Cohen, Gary Donner, Sheila Lasker, Daniel Stern, Jill Tabachnik, Shari Barnett, Howard Trachtenberg, Stephen Wasser, Shirley Rosenberg, Husheng Aziz, John Giardina, Linda Goldstein, Kim Olson, Howard Kessler, Sharon Strickler, Jeffrey Feldman, and Nancy Nadalny. And to those names, we add Carol Jacobowitz. We join together for the Misha Berach on page 371.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imoteinu Mekor HaBracha Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with Refuge Shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We celebrate the sweetness of Shabbat with the Kiddush, and nothing is sweeter than some good kosher wine. And so we join together on page 123, and I invite you to please rise if you are able.
Ooh, I'm going to have to drink it, right?
Yes.
From here, right? You want shishi? No. From here. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו ורצבנו בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה וראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת אמן.
Chaim. You may be seated. To me, each book of the Torah serves as a sort of metaphor for something larger. If we read each book with that in mind, I think it gives us some context. It helps make sense of how our biblical ancestors might have behaved. So when I read the book of Numbers, which we conclude reading this Shabbat, I think of community. Now, I know that Numbers is hardly a favorite of most people. Right? Anyone here say the book of Numbers is their favorite? All the time. It lacks the highs and lows of our first families in Genesis. The compelling drama of Exodus is nowhere to be found. We sort of slog through Numbers, making the best of it. Numbers is about the unglamorous, day in, day out work of building community. It's how a ragtag group of former slaves and hangers-on became a people, our people. Our first clue as to the purpose of the book of Numbers comes from the very first portion of the book. God commands Moses to take a census. Yes, a census is usually done in preparation for battle, and of course, only those considered eligible for battle are counted. But the larger message, as I like to see it, is that everyone counts. It's incumbent upon us to know who is in our community. We go on to read how trust might be restored to a smaller community, like a strained marriage. Of course, in the book of Numbers, yet again our ancestors complain about the food they had to eat. It seems supply chain issues are nothing new. A compelling speaker will lead some of the Israelites to a rebellion, and in the book of Numbers, Miriam dies, and her grief-stricken brothers, Moses and Aaron, momentarily crumble under their sorrow. Laws of inheritance reflecting the larger community will be amended to make the law more fair. And here we are now in the double portion of Matot Ma'aseh, bringing the book of Numbers to a close. In Matot, we learn about vows, who can make them, and how they can be nullified. Now, vows are not simple promises like, I'll, do you a favor or I'll do something for you. No, they were a little different. A vow usually involved a public declaration to dedicate to the sanctuary the value of an animal if one's prayers are answered, right? So not a simple promise. Yet, the details of how vows are made and who can make them and who can't smack of the Torah's sexism, since a father or a husband can annul a daughter or wife's vows. But the larger lesson, again, as we work through this, is that we are not islands. The promises and commitments we make have ramifications to the lives of others, whether in our family or in our larger community. And we are reminded to take our words seriously. Not all talk is cheap, and words, once thrown out there, cannot always be retracted. Little did the writers of the Torah imagine how true this would be today, especially in the world of email and Twitter. Hit one wrong button, and who knows who will receive your message. We can all appreciate the option on some voicemail systems that offer the choice of listening and amending, or even deleting a message before it is sent. If only more of us wrote our email messages as drafts and let them sit there for an hour or two before hitting send, the world might be a little bit more pleasant. And in the final portion, Ma'aseh, our ancestors are given the boundaries for the promised land that they will soon cross over into. And there are boundaries, and there are limits. And yes, I believe we should push our boundaries and that we should color outside the lines. But boundaries and limits teach us to be mindful of those around us. Coloring outside my lines doesn't mean that I get to color inside your lines. There are things we do not do and lines we do not cross. In communities, our lives are shared with others. Our concern for the members of our community guide our behavior. In this final portion, we are also instructed about something unusual called cities of refuge. These are cities in which a person may seek protection in the event that they unintentionally kill another person. Intention here is important. A deliberate murderer was not allowed to seek refuge, but was tried and punished accordingly. But one who accidentally killed another was allowed to seek refuge from the avenging family in what is called a walled city, where they would be protected. This was a revolutionary idea in ancient penal codes. And from this we learn that motive is important. And that even when one of the members of our community crosses a boundary, that doesn't necessarily mean we banish them from our community. No, we find a place for them where both we and they can be safe. Each of us counts. We are not islands. What we do matters. What we do has ripple effects. There are boundaries. But we will do whatever we can to help you stay within the boundary. This is what the book of Numbers teaches us about community. Why do any of us want to be part of a community? I was thinking about that because it is the time of the year when new families join our congregation, and I wonder what motivates them. Yes, there are the simple answers, like high holiday tickets and enrolling their children in the religious school or the ECE. But there are bigger reasons too. We are often looking for support, purpose, and belonging. Support to help us educate our children, to celebrate, and also to mourn. Community gives us access to those who have those talents and skills. To find purpose, whether by communal prayer, as we are doing right now, or working to be God's partner in healing a broken world. It is all too easy to feel that on our own, we have little impact, or that our prayers will not really be heard. But when we join with others, we are bolstered, and change really does seem possible. And to feel a sense of belonging. Even the most shy amongst us are still social animals. Rabbi Margaret Holub eloquently describes community. She writes, "Community is more than friends, more than people with common beliefs or a shared agenda. It is people who will notice if you are not there, who will search for you and warm you when they find you." Numbers may not be the most exciting book of the Torah, but it offers us a very powerful and poignant vision of community. It is a tradition to say at the conclusion of the reading of a book of Torah, Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek. Be strong, and we will strengthen one another. So may this community strengthen us, and may we strengthen each other. Shabbat Shalom.
Should we sing a song about community?
We should.
Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, nai 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 nai. Oh, nai 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 nai. If you are a 10, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today. Remember the dream. If you are a 10, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. Each one of us must play a part. Each one of us must do the work. Each one of us must right the wrong. Each one of us must feel the hope. Each one of us must do the hope. Each one of us must feel the hope. Each one of us, each one of us. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha. It's how we help. It's how we give. It's how we pray. It's how we heal. It's how we live. It's how we help. It's how we give. It's how we pray. It's how we heal. It's how we live. If you are a 10, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today. Remember the tree. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha.
We continue with Aleinu on page 586. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss of life and death. You are invited to rise and remain standing when the name of your loved one is recited. If you are in the first year of mourning, I invite you to rise. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who have passed away in the last 30 days. Larry Maslow, husband of Janet Maslow. Lawrence Hahn, father of Kathy Tabak. Sharon Neese, wife of Stuart Neese. Marlene Plymack, mother of Rhonda Tax. Elaine Freeman, mother of Michael Freeman. Abdul Afazali, member of our fun club. And we recall loved ones who have died but not yet been buried. Jerry Rubenstein, brother of Melvin Rubenstein. As those who have died at this season in years past: Drew Berry, Pearl Biagioli, Anna Bronstein, Francis Burns, Morton Falk, Heidi Fox, Sophie Z. Fox, Leo Glazer, Selma Goldenberg, Jack Goldstein, Cynthia Green, Israel Greenspan, Essie Gross, Stephanie Levine Harvey, Arlene Hatkin, Ida Hyman, Marion Israel, Fanny Julius, Zelda Khan, Isidore Katz, John Kielzinski, Herman Klausner, Mayor Klein, Lily Kornblum, Donald Cooperschmidt, Sam Leibowitz, Pamela Levine, Albert Lianza, Marsha Lynn, Norman McCransky, Nathaniel Newmark, Mildred Platt, Martin Radley, Miriam Rappaport, Robert Reich, William H. Rosie, Enid Rosenblum, Andrea Gal Rosenstein, Joseph Mayer Rosenthal, Gloria Rosenzweig, Natalie Rotker, Julia Sobronic, Richard Schneiderman, Fred Schwartz, Mildred Sigmund, Henry Silberman, David Silverstein, Abraham Sorok, Sarah Savlinsky, Nettie Waters, Juliet Whitman, Evelyn Yaskel, Jody Yaskel, Miriam Zalma, Sarah Zemsky. If there are any names that you would like to share with us now, I invite you to do so. To those names, we add the names that we hold in our hearts, and we join together for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Please rise. Yitgadal Yitgadash Shmei Rabbah, Bialma Divra Hirtei Yamlich Malkutei, B'chayachon Uv'yomechon, Uv'chayei B'chol Bet Yisrael, Ba'agala Uv'izman Kariv Imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'elam Umei Umaya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar V'yitalev V'yitalal Shmei B'kudsha B'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shifrata, tushbachata v'nechamata, ta'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
You may be seated. Our observance of Shabbat continues tomorrow morning with Holy Scrollers at 8:15 and the Minyan at 9:30. Next Shabbat, join us for a hike at Watchung Reservation, and on Sunday evening, join us for a community-wide observance of Tisha B'Av at Temple Beth El Makor Chaim in Cranford. Our summer fundraiser for Family Promise has just kicked off. You may remember there was a time when we would house families who did not have permanent housing here at Temple Emanu-El for 2 weeks. Some of you may even have participated in that. Their model obviously has changed, and so now your donations will help find temporary housing and other support families for those who don't have permanent housing yet. A generous Temple member has offered to match all of our donations up to $2,500. So please consider supporting this very important effort, and please do so now so that we can double your impact. And please check your email for other activities, including lunch and learns during the rest of the summer. The summer is not over.
All right, so I just want to say that we had someone very special return to the stage this week after 20 years, I think, that after she had a brain aneurysm and she was very sick, and Joni Mitchell returned, and I'm sure a lot of you saw it. If you haven't seen it, check it out on YouTube. It's very, very moving, and it's a really nice version of her song. And when my wife Becca and I were watching, then we remembered that one of the first songs that we sang together was a Joni Mitchell song. So we were thinking of doing a little rendition of that song this evening. So I'd like to invite Rebecca to join me for our final song today.
I would just like to first personally thank this lovely woman on the end here, whose name I don't know yet, who has tolerated my family and my daughter exiting and entering no less than 20 times. Thank you. Okay, just a second. This is it? Okay. Mm-hmm. Rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They them up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusion. I recall, I really don't know clouds at all.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ועת נשא בחצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה ותפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
From here? Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out aloud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way.
But now old friends, they're acting strange. They shake their heads, they tell me I've changed. Well, something's lost, something's gained in living every day.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו
אזי מלך שמו נקרא. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow
it's life's illusions. I recall, I really don't know life at all. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. That was great.
Thank you, everybody at home.
Thank you.